All right, what's going on, BDE Nation? I'm back. I haven't been on the show for a while.
I know,
like a month.
I will actually say we missed you.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah, and you come back on the day where it's like it's the end of the world.
The only reason I'm on today is because no one else is here.
Yeah, nobody else wants to talk about this. What are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, I asked Chuck what we were talking about today, and he's like, "Yeah, war all over the world, stock market crashing." So it's great start to the week.
Can we take like all the money we have at Digital Wildcatters and go license "It's the End of the World" by REM to have the theme song? It's the end of the world as we know it. I don't know if
that's a good use of proceeds, but yeah.
Did you know Microsoft offered 4 years, $12 million for that song to be the theme song for Windows, their launch on Windows, and REM said no. Rolling Stones for Start Me Up. Heck yeah.
Really?
Give me the money. Yeah.
I did not know that.
All right.
Tell us real
story
quick.
Number one.
Well, hold on. You're telling an interesting JFK story before we got on. Tell
Kennedy,
that real quick.
Everybody knows I'm fascinated with the Kennedy assassination. Wrote my senior thesis on it at Rice. There are two iconic photos that everyone involved in the assassination that studied it has seen. There's the picture of Oswald on a bus in the aftermath of the shooting behind the book depository. He's sitting next to a lady. It's a city bus. When they arrested him, they found the ticket for the bus in his pocket. The lady testified at the Warren Commission that Oswald sat next to me.
Yeah.
So this picture, and by the way, we got a photo of it right there. So slam dunk, he was on that bus because he took a weird path to get home.
Yeah.
So there's that photo. He gets arrested. I believe it's like an hour and a half later at the Tower Theater. And because he was sitting in there, he had hidden in there after he supposedly killed Officer Tippett. And he's in handcuffs. Two cops are yanking him out. There's a little bit of a crowd in front. Iconic photo of him being arrested.
Yeah.
Same dude took both photos, Stuart L. Reed. And what's strange about that is, so he's a Dallas photographer. Not much is known about this guy. You go Google him and you get credits for the photos. I read somewhere once that he was in the Army Corps of Engineers. He never testified at the Warren Commission or the House Select Committee. There's a story about him moving to Panama shortly after this. Anyway, it's kind of I can totally see you're a Dallas photographer and you're taking pictures of Kennedy coming through in the aftermath. You're just taking pictures of everything. You take a picture of a bus and lo and behold, turns out Oswald's on it. Okay, yeah. I get that. An hour and a half later, you just happen to be standing in front of the Texas Theater, which is like 2 miles away, call it 15 minutes with traffic and car. And there was a lot of traffic that day. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's sitting there listening to the police scanner. Yeah. And he hears about a disturbance, but I mean,
I'm more sus of the bus picture. Like you're just taking random pictures of, buses. Like that's more weird.
Hey, we're framing this dude for the assassination. Yeah. We need you to get a picture of him on the bus.
Like I could buy a story of he's there at the theater because he's listening to police scanner, which I don't know, like if that technology was readily available.
I don't know if that was a thing back then.
I don't know. But just taking random pictures of people on buses, that's pretty sus.
Yeah. So I hired a private investigator because I wanted to find.
You did. Oh, yeah.
No,
Chuck takes this very seriously.
Well, and if you talk to anybody that knows stuff about the Kennedy assassination, you go, "Hey man, the same guy took these two photos." Everybody's like, "Oh my God, I hadn't really thought of that." So I wonder if an investigation of him could lead to something, breaking something in the case.
Yeah. Do you know if he's still alive?
Don't know if he's still alive. I think I want to say somewhere I read, because I've gone through Google, I've gone through Chat GPT, I've gone through Grok, and they all come back with just blurbs. And I'm like, tell me more, give me sources. Yeah. And there's just not a lot. And, Stuart, so UART, Stuart L. Reed, EED, it's just such a common name. Yeah. That the private investigators like, I've pulled 1 million of them. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, I'm going to have to get on this.
We're going to have to do a whole Chuck Yates Needs a Job episode
Chuck
on
Yates,
on the hunt for Stuart L. Reed.
Exactly.
All right, let's get into some energy news because from what you told me, I've been off Twitter for the last 12 hours, but it sounds like in that 12 hours a lot's happened. Well,
let's start off with a win for the home team. So Chevron has announced last week they're moving their headquarters from, where are they? San Mateo, California.
Yeah, I don't know.
San Ramon, California, wherever they are in California, they're coming
like
to
Santa Barbara or something like that.
Yeah, they're coming to Houston. So all corporate functions will be moved to Houston over the next 5 years. And this is kind of a crazy stat I read somewhere. I can't necessarily verify the stat, but it sounds right. With this move, 5 years ago, 25% of the capex spend in the Permian Basin by public companies was controlled by Houston-based companies. Today, with Chevron's move, Exxon's moves here, 70% of the capex spend in the Permian Basin is controlled by Houston-based companies.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that. I'm surprised that it's not even more than that. I looked it up. It is San Ramon, California.
It only took me 3 chances.
Wanted to be factually accurate on. Yeah. If anyone should know, it should be.
We need like because Rogan, on his podcast now has like 12 fact checkers watching.
I like Joe Rogan, but I hardly ever listen to his podcast. Every once in a while, there's an interesting episode that I'll listen to, and I listened to this one the other day. I think I just like picked a random one because I just needed something random to listen to, and the entire episode was Joe Rogan saying shit that wasn't true. And then they like go research it, like, oh yeah, that's not true.
What is it?
They're not father-son.
Oh, why does it lie?
Because
it says father knocks out son in celebrity boxing match.
Gotta get somebody to click on this.
Oh.
This was like a YouTuber thing. This guy's a YouTuber and he's a YouTuber.
I'm such a sucker.
It's like the entire thing. And I was like, so we need a fact checker on here for sure.
So Saturday night he did a live comedy special on it was from San Antonio. It was on Netflix. Highly recommend.
Oh, he did in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched it.
Highly recommend watching it because it's funny. And he's like, people are sitting there yelling at me about vaccines and all this other stuff during COVID. And I go, if you're getting your information from me, you're a fucking idiot. I say wild shit. And he goes to and he explains like everything they would criticize him for saying. He goes, let me give you the context to that.
Yeah.
Drunk in a bar. I was stoned and I said this. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So.
I'll have to watch that. Yeah. But the Chevron thing, I'm surprised that it's taken them so long. And in our BDE chat, someone asked the question to Kirk is, are the Dutch next? Is Shell going to come over to?
Because Shell's technically London right now, right? They did move the headquarters to London, right? Are they going to take?
I don't know. Did they?
I think they did. I think they did.
Well, let me look up right now because we're going to be factually accurate today.
Come to Houston, boys.
Yeah. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah. You want it. Come on.
You want it. You want to. So, all right. We got lots of stuff going on in the Middle East.
So let me lay all this out to you. Over the last couple of weeks, I think we've as close as we've been to an all-out war in the Middle East, at least, I guess we've had 2 runs in Iraq, but in terms of Israel versus the rest of the Middle East. So over the last couple of weeks, Israel's taken out multiple Palestinian and Lebanese leaders. They took out a Hamas terrorist whose name I can't pronounce, Ismail Haniyeh. Took him out in Tehran with a drone strike, I believe. We had U.S. forces clash with pro-Iranian fighters in Iraq. 4 people died on that. North Korea diplomats have visited Iran. Russian military flights to Iran are supposedly at an all-time high right now. Iran has vowed revenge. So, literally as we're sitting here, maybe something starts happening. This is crazy. On July 29th, so just a few days ago, oil was at $75.40. Right now, as we're recording, $72.63. Oil's down $10 over the past month.
And that would indicate that it's not
it used to
priced
be,
in, right? If you have all of this potential war activity and oil's dropping.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, my whole career, anytime somebody rattled a saber in the Middle East, oil jumped $5.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. Yeah, that's odd.
It's trading like every other security right now, which is just crashing.
Yeah, I saw the Bitcoin bros were talking about Bitcoin falling. I haven't looked at the price. I don't look at the price of anything. Oil, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin's actually, if you look at Bitcoin in the last 5 days, it's down 17.5%.
There you go. Yeah.
By the dip.
I just live in ignorance. Just nothing's going on over my world right now. Well, if you don't pay attention to it.
As a man living on a limited portfolio, I check it every fucking 15 minutes. Yeah. No, but
the I don't keep up with a lot of Middle East politics or activity, but I saw that they discovered a large tunnel network. I think it was between Palestine and maybe Egypt, and like they showed like Humvees driving through it. I mean, these aren't like little tunnels that are just like,
because no one ever talks about, but the borders to Gaza. There's a border with Egypt. Mm-hmm. There's a wall. I mean, there's an equally repressive wall.
Yeah.
With Egypt. And so they found tunnels under that.
Yeah, they found tunnels under that. And I mean, these are like, they got to be, call it 12, 15 feet wide, probably 10 feet tall and cinder block, down. I mean, they're real construction, civil construction projects. And so, yeah, I guess that brings up a lot of questions of like,
what do you do with
what are you doing with those tunnels? Who's running, who's running stuff through those tunnels? So, I always find tunnel activity to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's because it's like, who knows what goes on underground.
Right. Well, so, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you play through the scenarios here, the U.S. being dragged into a war in the Middle East.
I think I saw something, Marines being deployed.
U.S. Marines I believe we've sent two ships over to be, whether it's in the Mediterranean or whether we're sending them into the Gulf.
Yeah, U.S. sends more fighter jets and ships to Middle East ahead of possible Iranian retaliation. So deploying, both Navy and planes over there.
I mean, and we try not to do politics here, except when it focuses on the energy business. And we've let the Biden administration let Iran sell oil. They have money, and it seems like bad stuff happens when Iran has money. Mm-hmm.
Interesting that if you think. I was in this roundtable one time with Ted Cruz and a few others, and I haven't gone and verified this information, so just take it with a grain of salt. This is
always do.
Ted Cruz telling me this, but essentially, Donald Trump, when he's in office, puts all these sanctions on Russia and Nord Stream pipeline to inevitably stop the construction of the pipeline. And that's what really prevented Russia from invading Ukraine and held some level of peace, because any war with Ukraine would disrupt Russian oil and gas flows through the country. Then Biden comes into the office, repeals all of those sanctions, boom, pipeline gets built. All of a sudden, Russia has a way to pipe over resources to Europe and bypass Ukraine, giving them an open path to attack Ukraine. So Ted Cruz thinks that Russian-Ukraine conflict was really driven by energy policy. And once Russia had leverage and a way to pipe out their natural resources, that gave them a lane to attack Ukraine. And you look at what's happening now. I mean, who the fuck's running the United States right now?
I know.
I hate talking politics, dude. I hate talking politics, but like what's happening right now is just It's insane. Like there's no leadership. And I don't think that that's coincidence that you have so much. The Middle East has always had violence. I mean,
go read the Old Testament.
It's nothing new. But just with all of the stuff popping off right now, I mean, why would you fear the United States or fear any repercussions when it's like, who the hell's even running the United States?
We haven't even seen the guy. Well, and I don't want to get in trouble with the girlfriend. We actually had a really fun weekend in El Dorado, Arkansas, going to a wedding and reading about the oil business. So at the risk of doing that, I truly believe this. I truly believe that Putin sat down with Biden and saw what we've all seen. Half the country has been seeing it for 4 years. The other half noticed it at the debate and decided to chime in. And Putin saw that, and 3 months later, he invaded. Well, no shit. I mean, he sat there and watched this guy that couldn't complete a sentence and said, they're not going to do anything to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it has repercussions. I mean, I get it. You want your guy to be in power, and
you can make a case that like it doesn't matter who's in the office, things are going to happen. But the one thing, and I'm not a MAGA Trumper, but facts are facts. When Trump was in office, there were no wars happening, right? Because I think the beauty of Trump is that Trump is such a wild card that you just don't, like, no one knows what his next move is, right? And he's not, seems like a very rational person at times either. And so there's an element of that where it's like Putin doesn't know what his next move is because he doesn't know how Trump will respond to things.
So Coach Root in 7th grade, every time we said something, he'd always say, go look at the scoreboard. And the scoreboard is under George Bush, who I actually was a fan of. Putin took Georgia, right? And under Obama, Putin took Crimea.
Yeah.
Under Biden, he's trying to take Ukraine. Under Trump, Putin took 0 land.
Yeah.
0. Yeah. And I mean, you can say, the things I love is that's because Trump was giving Putin secrets. And I'm always like, well, that's a lot cheaper than a war. I mean, what secrets did he give away? I'm kind of okay with this, I mean.
Yeah. But so I just think that it'd be nice to get some leadership in one form of another so that you can start getting some stability.
And one other thing, I hate to talk politics, but we're doing it and all. So Harris is now the Democratic nominee for president. Let's take the Democratic position of Joe Biden was so noble and realized he had gone into decline, so he resigned for the good of the country. I'll take you at your word there. She has yet to face a question from a press conference or a sit-down interview with anyone. So we're 2 weeks into her campaigning, and she has not taken questions from the media. And at least and we do not have the world's greatest process on democracy. I'm not sitting there defending it.
Yeah.
But when you have a primary system, you have to go to all your voters and say, here's what I'm for, guys. Am I your leader? Are you my team here? You have debates, right? You sit in front of the media, and you, generally speaking, there's a tradition in America, you go to the enemy press. So, you go to reporters that don't favor you, you sit down and do that. And one of the things that really worries me is we're going to throw Harris in here. She's going to do the same thing Biden did. Just what he did was he sat in the basement in Delaware and didn't face the media. So we're not going to have any scrutiny on any of these issues in the Middle East. We're not going to know where she stands on those things. Yeah. And boom, that just adds to the uncertainty, and she's going to be tested by foreign leaders. I mean, that's just going to happen. And so, if we're truly for democracy, we shouldn't have done all this. But if we're truly for democracy, I wish some serious, thoughtful Democrats were sitting there saying, okay, you got to go sit down with the press. You got to go sit down with Sean Hannity. He may be an asshole, but he's the opposite side.
Mhm.
And you need to get grilled by him just because we've got to vet a president before we choose.
Yeah.
I mean, this is serious shit.
I don't know, the whole Harris issue I find deeply disturbing, and remove Harris as a person or a politician.
Sure.
I don't care about her as a
Supposedly
person or
a great
politics, but-
stepmother. I mean, has really co-parented the kids well and stuff. So
Sure.
kudos to her. Yeah.
But what I find really disturbing about it is the entire process for it and how they treated her prior to this,
No.
how they talked about Biden before this. Oh, Biden's fine. He's
Yeah.
good. He's good.
He
And-
runs circles around me.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she swapped in with no vote on it. All of a sudden, hey, that's
To
our
save
person.
democracy.
Yeah. And it's very disturbing when you really sit down and think about it, because none of it makes sense. And it's like,
But you know what the most disturbing thing is? Because I agree with you on all that. The most disturbing thing is there's not a single Democrat standing up and saying, hey, this is wrong.
yeah.
We shouldn't have done this. I mean, because say what you want about Republicans, there are never Trumpers. There are people that have stood up and said, I will never vote for Trump. And they call him out on it. And, Mitt Romney, the Bushes. I mean, there is true dissent. We had 10 people run in the Republican primary. We had debates. I mean, I know Trump didn't show up because he was winning, but there was at least dissent.
Yeah.
And dissent leads us to better positions, better policy, better governance.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me the most is Democrats have done this, and there is not a single Democrat that has stood up and said, oh my gosh, this is bad.
Yeah.
So
I think, one thing that I think's been disappointing over the last decade is America has some of the smartest people in the world, some of the most high performing people in the world. There's a lot of good people that could be leaders and president of the United States. And then it's like, we have Trump, we have Biden,
right.
we have Harris,
Right.
I can't remember what the stat is, but look at how many Bushes and Clintons, and it's like there's not a
first presidential ballot since 1976 that hasn't included a Clinton, Biden, or Bush.
There's not a high variance in names that get the opportunity to run for president. So it just makes you really think, do we really have a democracy? Or
and to pull this back to energy policy, because ultimately that's what we're supposed to be talking about. Senator Harris, candidate for president in 2019, Harris was all for a fracking ban.
Yeah.
And, her
lots of videos of her saying that she'll ban fracking.
Her presidential campaign has come out and said she won't do that as president. But again, that hasn't been vetted by the media. It hasn't been vetted by the voters in a primary.
I would love just one simple question for politicians when they say that they're going to ban fracking. Okay, what is fracking?
Yeah, exactly.
One simple question.
Yeah, just tell me what it is. Yeah.
All for banning it. Tell me what it is.
Just tell me what it is. Exactly. And do you spell it with a K or not?
So stocks, market crashing. What's the market doing? We talked about oil moving down, which is weird. Talked about Bitcoin moving down.
This is all beginning of recession type stuff. There was some.
But we've been in a recession though. That's what, everyone's afraid of a recession, but we've been in a recession. I mean, tech drew down 90%, tens or hundreds of thousands of layoffs. That's a recession.
Yeah.
And so, maybe there's conversation for depression, but, everyone's always afraid of a recession. And there's a lot of indicators things like this, but we've been in a recession. Also, don't get me on my soapbox about how humans are inherently pessimistic and we always fear downtrends and recessions and things like this, but
we do always draw a straight line from the last 2 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, up and down, but
oil's down, Bitcoin's down,
stock market's
down.
The Nikkei was the Japanese stock exchange, I think, was down 18% yesterday. So it's not just the US.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
I saw some people on Twitter talking about this this morning, and I didn't get to dive in on it, but that's the Japanese market.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, to Chuck's point, Chuck's looking at this shit every 15 minutes.
Oh gosh.
So damn, my net worth's going down.
Go ask my former business partner, Mike Hines. You don't want me reading daily reports on the drilling rig.
Yeah.
What's poo? We pooed. We pooed. Oh my God. It's the end of the world. Yeah. But no, I mean, I
had Chuck text me a couple of days ago asking how do you spell demob.
Yeah, that's true. I had
no
idea.
You asking me to
mob and demob.
Yeah, mob and demob. I was like, I didn't know why you were asking me, and then I saw you tweet out about it later that day. So it's like, Chuck, you trying to move into oil and gas operations or what?
We've got a video that I think he's going to let us show. That Sheffield's going to let us show, talking about his $9 million mob of an HP rig. From Texas to Australia.
Yeah, I posted that video. Brian Sheffield is doing really well. Talking about...
It's a great story. Ted Collins was awesome.
Yeah, he's talking about doing his first deal and trying to get 100% of the lease, and Ted Collins swooping in and taking 25% of it.
Just snagged it.
I love it. But yeah, I posted that. But that was cool, Brian, to give you guys kind of that
I mean, it was
ungated access, because like people like that story of Ted Collins, like, that's to Brian, he's like, oh, it's just a story that happened. But other people think that that's really cool to hear that and hear how deals are made and how businesses are made, how people like Brian are made. And so it's cool to get to hear that, just kind of genuine, authentic take from him.
Yeah, no, and we've got, I think we're up to 20 some odd hours of stuff with Brian. And so we're working through how we're going to put this out. I mean, I'd love to just cut it down to an hour, but every time I watch something, I'm always like, oh, that's good. Is really good. Yeah. I mean, we had 30 minutes because we were driving all over the place in the car, and we'd be mic'd up. So we were mic'd up talking about how you space wells.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure that's a Chuck Yates Needs a Job, the podcast, maybe. But it's like 30 minutes of me just saying that needs to be out in the ether somewhere.
That's how I think probably end up just cutting a lot of it up. And
the Sheffy Chronicles or something.
Ship it out.
Just put the raw footage out there. So
I like that. But I'm sure that we'll probably have some updates later in the week. It sounds like stuff probably could have changed while we're recording this, recording the show.
Market.
So
stock market back up.
Yeah. So
Harris is fracking a well in Pennsylvania as we speak.
Yeah. Wants to win over the Republicans. Go frack a well.
Well, Pennsylvania. I mean, I don't think you win the presidency without Pennsylvania.
It's definitely
and they got a lot of gas there.
Yeah,
and a lot of oil and gas jobs.
A lot of working people there.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are going to be voting for Trump after the assassination attempt. So that'll be a tough one to win. But I was laughing because I was down in South Texas a couple of weeks ago and down at my mom and stepdad's ranch. And, when they talk about, the silent majority, it's like, I think of people down in South Texas and West Texas that they're not on Twitter, maybe on Facebook, but they're not on Twitter. And I think about like the butterfly effects. Like, what if Trump was killed on TV? That's civil war. I mean, 100%. Like those people down in South Texas, like, that's civil war to them. And I'm like, that's insane that we were 1/8 of an inch away from just the world looking different now, which just kind of shows you like how volatile and fragile society is. But I think that you look at working people in Ohio and Pennsylvania, Texas, other parts of the South. I mean, people want to be represented, feel like they have representation, right? And so
the girlfriend and I talk about this a fair amount because, by a lot of the metrics, the U.S. economy is doing as well as it ever has. You also look at it vis-a-vis the rest of the world coming out of COVID.
Is that true though?
When you look at stock market all-time highs,
but stock
unemployment
market,
rates.
Stock market doesn't represent the economy. Unemployment rates, like you look at like TSA. Like TSA is a jobs program. It doesn't actually do anything, right? So like, how many of those jobs are government jobs? Meanwhile, people can't afford to pay their groceries. Like, go try financing a car right now.
That's always my point back. My point back is, because the liberal side of the world is always, well, these people are racist and all that. It's go look at real wage growth.
Yeah.
That is the statistic, and it's basically been flat if you look at it since we passed NAFTA.
Yeah.
And I was for NAFTA at the time. I was a big, huge free trader.
Yeah.
Can't get toilet paper during a pandemic. I'm willing to rethink the whole thing on some protectionism, but it's real wage growth, and real wage growth is down under Biden. And so these people aren't running around being racist and the like. They truly are not able to pass it on to their kids better than they had it. And that's the fundamental desire all of us have.
Yeah.
You can't give your son your job with the union at the local factory.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen anymore. And these BRV made this point one time on a podcast 3 years ago, and it holds true. And I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again, is if you look at QAnon, Proud Boys on one side, BLM on the other side, and you just read the rhetoric, you take the names off it, it's the same exact rhetoric. Mm-hmm. It's this disattachment from the American dream and not being able to enjoy the benefits of America, prosperity, etc.
Yeah.
And so
it's
a real thing, and Trump's tapped into that on the right, and that's why MAGA folks love him so much and are willing to overlook his faults.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure that we'll have a lot of activity over the next week.
We'll get lots of comments of please bring Mark back.
Bring Mark back.
Even bring Kirk back.
Got to bring back sidetrack Mark. Where's Kirk at? Kirk's over.
Kirk. I don't think we're allowed to say where Kirk is.
Can't say.
We can't say.
It's a mystery where Kirk's at.
It's a mystery where Kirk at.
Mark,
Mark's in, I believe, the East Coast,
Arkansas.
North Carolina. Arkansas.
All right. Well, we will be back
if
next
any news
week.
Breaks this week, we'll do a cut in we will. But
Chuck and I will be up in New York City, so we'll maybe a special BDE from New York City.
BDE from Soho.
Yeah, there we go. All right. We will catch you guys on next episode. See you then.